Putin bad news, cut Russia's oil and gas revenues now to end the war. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky may have paid the price, but that hasn't stopped him or his country. The country is resolute in its quest for independence and westernization. Zelensky sent a message to his main rival, telling President Putin that he would not live another decade. But if this war is to end sooner, the key is to cut off Russia's finances and confiscate the country's looted money. In fact, Russia makes $500 million to $1 billion a day by selling its oil and gas on the world market to finance its war against Ukraine. If the world does not buy this oil, the war will end and death and mass murder will be avoided. BP, Shell, ExxonMobil XOM plus 0.5% and Equinor withdraw. In addition, the international community should confiscate now liquid Russian assets and use that money to repair the Ukrainian scandal. Russia cost Ukraine $1 trillion, said Bill Browder, founder of Hermitage Capital Management, once Russia's largest investor. The Sun has frozen $350 billion in central bank reserves since the war began. Freezing and seizing certain money. It is the right thing to do, ethically, economically, and politically. I was in Ukraine on September 2019 when news broke that President Donald Trump and his lawyer Rudy Giuliani had wanted Ukraine to file a criminal complaint against Vice President Joe Biden research. Zelensky did not back down. But just as Trump and Giuliani thought they could beat Zelensky, Putin fell into the same trap. Recall that Zelensky, a former actor, was able to flee as soon as the war started, but stood up as an international representative and crouched in Putin's bunker. Ukraine can now prevail with the financial and military support of the world. Today, Putin is weakened by many things: international arrests, attempted coup, and drone attacks that have caused Moscow's business district to attack Ukrainian citizens. A wanted man in Russia and abroad, Putin is not afraid and is not seen as the country's dictator. He plans to travel to South Africa later this month for the so-called BRICS summit, but will send a leader out of fear of arrest. Now he's alone and gone to North Korea. Exposing corruption in the current government, Browder said, Putin is so scared he doesn't want to take the risk. He was brave, aggressive, and killed with impunity, but suddenly he could not go, which is bad for his reputation, and he looks weak at home. If Ukraine wins, Putin leaves. Putin rose to the presidency of Russia in May 2000, replacing Boris Yeltsin, who wanted to accelerate the country's transition to democracy. Machiavelli's version of "he may be right." Putin believes in his love for his country, Russia, but he controls it with threats. As Browder points out, many Russians entering public life come from the highest ranks, from the lowest-ranking officers to the president. Thus, Putin became the richest man in the world. The oligarchs of the country have money, but what really matters is the president's financial policy. To survive and thrive, they must obey. However, this type of administration put Russia in a difficult position. A 10-mile drive outside of Moscow says it all: dirt roads, broken hospitals, and starving schools. Advertising is also limited to this. People suffer when the rich and politicians live in luxury. A sad statement for a country full of literate and intellectual people. Participating in the Ukrainian war, Putin needs a foreign enemy to avoid problems at home. But he miscalculated, thinking that conquering Ukraine would be easy. Now thousands of soldiers have died. I can imagine people loyal to Putin swearing to support others, Browder said. If Ukraine wins, Putin will lose his life, so he will throw another 1,000,000 soldiers into the meat grinder. A rational person should stop this behavior. But he does not think about the interests of the country, but about his own life. That's why he will sacrifice everything. Putin needs an outlet to maintain his hold on power, a way to save his reputation, which could include the land for peace. Ukraine is fighting relentlessly. But Russia's calculations assume that Europe and America do not have ultimate power, thereby limiting Ukraine's ability to fight. His money is also used for Trump's 2024 victory, which is just hope. The international option is to cut Russia's life, oil, and gas revenues. It would save Russia in the long run by ending the war and allowing it to rejoin the international community. The recent war has caused more conflict for Russia and forced it to tie up with Iran and North Korea. Alluding to Zelensky's image of a hero and visionary, Putin has only challenged his time. Erdogan, negotiations continue for the resumption of food trade with Ukraine. Negotiations continue for the safe continuation of the food shipment agreement between Ukraine and the Black Sea. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan made a statement after a phone call with Russian President Vladimir Putin. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has threatened to attack Russian targets in the Black Sea if the Russian army continues to intercept Ukrainian ships and bombard its ports and factories. As stated by Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan in his recent speech, negotiations are underway to renew the agreement that would allow Ukraine to send food by road in the Black Sea. Erdogan made the announcement Tuesday following a meeting with Russian leader Vladimir Putin. The development comes after Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky warned that Ukraine could target Russian assets in the Black Sea if Russian forces continue to attack Ukrainian ships and ports and factories. The food agreement between Ukraine and Russia has become an important part of the economic relations between the two countries. Known as the Granary of Europe, Ukraine is one of the world's largest grain exporters. The economic development and security of the country largely depends on agriculture. The Black Sea region is an important transportation route for Ukrainian exports, enabling it to reach international markets. However, tensions between Ukraine and Russia have increased in recent years, disrupting the grain market. The Russian military is accused of intercepting Ukrainian ships and blocking the country's food exports by bombing Ukrainian ports. This not only affects the Ukrainian economy, but also raises international concerns about food security and regional stability. Given these challenges, recent talks between Erdogan and Putin offer hope for a new deal. The statement of the Turkish president shows that the leaders of the two countries are eager to find a solution to the current problem. The resumption of Ukrainian grain export security routes will not only help Ukraine, but will also contribute to regional stability and ensure a stable supply of grain on the world market. Zelensky's warning of the possibility of further retaliation demonstrated the importance of development. His comments reflect tension and uncertainty in Ukraine as Russian forces continue to invade Ukraine's waters and attack its infrastructure. The Ukrainian president's announcement is a reminder of the high risks involved and the urgent need for a political solution. The international community is monitoring the situation between Ukraine and Russia for fear of escalation. The resumption of the food supply will be seen as a good step towards de-escalation and a return to normalcy in the region. This will demonstrate the willingness of the two countries to prioritize economic cooperation and find common ground, despite political differences. While the results of regular chats are still uncertain, it's a good sign that chats are organized. This shows that the media is used to solve current problems and find effective solutions. The international community, including major food importing and exporting countries, will eagerly await the results of these negotiations, which will have a major impact on global food security, response and security. Finally, negotiations are underway to relaunch a food deal that would allow Ukraine to export agricultural products through safe passage through the Black Sea. In a statement after the phone call of Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan with Russian President Vladimir Putin, the hope for resolving the ongoing conflict between Ukraine and Russia was expressed. The resumption of the food contract will not only benefit the Ukrainian economy, but will also contribute to the stability of the region and ensure food security in the world economy. The outcomes of these discussions will be monitored by the international community as they affect global food security and stability.